Hey everybody, Stefan Molyneux. Hope you're doing well. Hey, you feeling brave, my friends? You feel like joining me on a quick spelunk through the Dante-esque modern mind of the modern Western women? Because a new study has come out. Let me tell you some details and we'll talk about what's really going on. So according to a new survey out of England, women are more miserable than men for almost their entire lives and are happier only in their mid-80s. A study found that women's happiness grows after retirement before they finally overtake male happiness when women are 85 years old. Now, I have a daughter. I wanted to grow up in a society where she can flourish and be happy. And this is not that society. And it's horrible. You know, there's this kind of countdown that occurs in my brain, like a stopwatch countdown, you know, like when you play Pictionary and you turn over the hourglass. I know I have my own countdowns that other people are aware of. My countdowns, include, countdown to Spoon Clank. Countdown to Paul Joseph Watson using his squeaky voice. And other people, of course, have countdowns. For me, countdowns until I talk about having been a gold penner after high school. Anyway, but there's this countdown. So something that is problematic for women, regarding women, is announced. And countdown, countdown, countdown. How long? Until men get blamed. Oof, it really doesn't take very long. This is really tragic, and this is one of the reasons why women are so unhappy. It's horrible. We all want excuses in the moment. We all want to. It's a natural human tendency to blame others for negative things that happen to you. It's natural. And there are times when you're a child and so on, it's kind of appropriate. But when you're an adult, here's what you give up. So if you blame other people for negative things that happen to you or for you not getting what you want, you feel relief in the moment. It's like heroin for the toothache of flawed responsibility. So you feel relief in the moment, but the problem is it paralyzes you in the future, paralyzes you down the road. So you get the relief, the sweet relief of not accepting responsibility in the moment. Whew, what a relief. But it paralyzes your capacity to change things for the better in the future. And this is the greatest harm, I think, that is done to women. Why are men more happy? Men get blamed for everything, pretty much. So why are men more happy? Because people don't give responsibility to women. The question is, why are women unhappy? I mean, there has been 100 years of feminism. And decade after decade after decade, women get more and more and more unhappy. The whole point of feminism was to make women richer, more fulfilled, and happier, and so on. But the modern world strips childbirth from women and strips work from men. And then we wonder why people get unhappy. So this is very important. Well, I would argue that one of the reasons why women are becoming more and more unhappy is that there is this weird white knighting that occurs. I mean, on the one hand, it's like, well, women should be equal to men. Well, men are given massive responsibility even for things that aren't men's fault. But we take away responsibility from women all the time. We blame their environment. We blame the patriarchy. We blame society. We blame anything but their own particular choices. I mean, whenever I talk about single moms and say, well, women are the gatekeepers of sex. Men propose, women dispose. And if you ended up as a single mom, then you made a bad decision for who should be the father of your children. Or you weren't prepared for a sexually active life in a way to avoid pregnancy. Women have 18 different forms of birth control. Come on, it's really not that hard. And people are like, well, but it's men left. It's like, well, yeah, okay, sure. And if I hire an employee who turns out doesn't work out, I can completely blame the employee, in which case I'm not going to change anything about my own hiring practices. You see how this works? But if I say, well, no, I was responsible for hiring this person, what did I miss? What did I not figure out? What signals were there that I didn't write? You understand? Yes. The basic reality, of course, in life, nobody owes you a damn thing. When you're an adult, when you're a kid, you're owed love and you're owed protection and interest and food, and shelter, healthcare, and so on. But when you become an adult, nobody owes you a damn thing. You don't owe me any eyeballs on this show. I have to work hard to win your attention and keep your attention. Nobody, I wanted to be a philosopher. I wanted to change the world. I wanted to make the world a better place. I wanted to share the wisdom that I had hard scrubbed from the skies of thought. And nobody owed me anything. I have to go out, oh, this video didn't do that great in terms of views. I can say, well, the audience just doesn't appreciate it. Come on. It's my job. It's my job to engage you and my job to provide value to you. Hopefully, at some point, you may reciprocate with freedomainradio.com/donate, help out the show. Nothing is for free, and don't be a freeloader, free rider, but nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes women happiness. Nobody owes men happiness. Nobody owes you the satisfaction of your dreams or the attainment of your highest desires. Nobody owes you sex. Nobody owes you love. Nobody owes you anything. You have to go out and earn it. So, the countdown, right? How long until men get blamed? Well, as usual, it's 3 paragraphs. So the third paragraph, I'll link the article below. The third paragraph is, so the second paragraph of this is, the study found that women's happiness grows after retirement before they overtake men at age 85. Third paragraph. This may be because many older people are widowed by then, which generally boosts happiness in women but makes men more miserable. So you see, women end up happier when they're 85 because their husbands are dead. What? What are these people's major malfunction? I mean, why would you choose to live with a man who makes you that miserable that you're dancing on his goddamn grave after he kicks the bucket, buys the farm, plows the back 40, goes for the 6 feet down dirt nap for eternity? It's amazing. Now, so the number of Britons reporting consistent unhappiness is on the rise, with women more likely to report severe issues at every age. Health survey for England found 28% of women aged 16 to 24 have mental health problems bad enough to count as a disorder. 28% of women aged 16 to 24. That's almost twice as many men in the same age bracket the survey of 8,000 people found. Now, what could happen is the reporters, the psychiatrists, whoever ran this, the NHS, I think, whoever ran the survey, they could say, well, geez, what are men doing right that they're not as crazy as women? No, you can't do that. But you see, that would be to say that women have something to learn from men, right? And remember, gender relations are a government program at the moment, just like race relations, which is why they're so terrible. So as they enter middle age, 24% of women, almost a quarter of 45 to 54-year-olds are classifiable as mentally ill. 24% of women as they enter middle age, and almost a quarter, so it's almost a quarter of 45 to 54-year-olds are classifiable as mentally ill. These numbers drop as women get older. 16% found to have severe problems past 65, dropping to 14% over 85. Now, Dr. Kate Lovett, Dean of the Royal College of Psychiatrists, said women need to start taking responsibility for their mental habits so that oh no, she didn't say anything like that. What she said was, and this is the standard canard when women's mental health issues are raised, she said women, and I quote, are still more likely to bear the brunt of domestic and caring responsibilities, end quote, for most of their lives. Well, actually, no, there's a lot of women who are childless these days. And a lot of women who don't take on these responsibilities. A lot of women who dump their aged parents into nursing homes and so on. So is she saying that in the past, domestic and caring responsibilities were not present for women, say 100 years ago or 50 years ago and so on? It just means that women get depressed when they care for people. Love makes women unhappy. Caring for people makes women unhappy. This is kind of a weird thing that feminism has put forward. Some elements of feminism. They put forward this kind of weird idea that if a woman takes care of her family, she's a slave. But if she ends up taking orders from her boss, she's liberated. You see, I don't know, it's completely crazy. So the article says, in old age, this burden may lessen when women are no longer responsible for elderly parents and children at the same time. Really? I mean, I know there's this theory that women aren't that great at math, but 85? Okay, let's see. Your kids should be kind of on their way in their 20s, let's just say 20. And so unless you had your children at 65 years of age, in which case you're pretty much giving birth to velociraptors, and your parents simultaneously, let's say that your parents had you when they were 30, then your parents finally died at the age of 115. So you had your children at 65 years old, and your parents finally died when they were 115 years old. I mean, come on. Above age of 85, men's unhappiness jumps above women's, with 19% appearing to have a mental disorder. Dr. Lovett said, and I quote, "Men who are single, widowed, or divorced are more vulnerable to developing depression, and men who are in this age bracket may be more likely to be on their own." In total, almost 1 in 5 adults were found to have a mental illness, up by 25% in the past 4 years. Up by 25% in the past 4 years. Why are people becoming so miserable? So she says that experts have to study the reasons for rising rates of unhappiness in Britain, with a focus on the role of social media and economic problems. I don't know. I would guess being taxed for population replacement might be something to do with it. And the general problem, of course, of massive third world migrants and immigrants pouring into England, both legally and illegally, driving up the price of housing, causing massive declines in the quality of schooling, causing massive shortages in healthcare, and massive claustrophobia on the roads and so on. I mean, this all has something to do with it, but you can't talk about any of that stuff. And I don't really think it's social media that's causing all of these problems. It's like, oh, well, we were really happy until the printing press came along. We were really happy until books and libraries came along. We were really happy until knowledge and information got shared. Come on, this is ridiculous. And it's something that people have talked about in comments and messages that I've received. It's interesting because a lot of people are saying that they wouldn't mind settling down, like men sometimes saying they wouldn't mind settling down. But one of the problems is that the women in their age group, they don't know how to do anything, right? They don't know how to keep a house. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to do anything. I mean, I guess they go out and they get tattoos and they drink and, but they don't really know how to run a family. And so how is it really going to happen? I mean, someone's got to stay home with the kids if you want to be a halfway decent parent. And so feminism has failed, of course, in its goal. Women are progressively more unhappy. 25% rise in mental illness just over the past couple of years. Now, that's for all adults, but it's pretty wretched. And I think one of the fundamental, it's not that hard to find out the solution. There's a study, this is out of Australia, studies found that parents with 4 or more children are the most satisfied, the most happy. So, and given that it's moms who generally stay home and take care of the kids, they do have the feeding mechanisms, right? Men are all taps and no plumbing, but so women stay home. So if you want to be happy, you have 4 or more kids. That's the most surefire recipe to becoming happy. And the relentless antinatalism that is focused on white people in particular. I mean, there's lots of zero population growth, lots of kids are bad for the environment. Not a lot of that stuff in Arabic, frankly. And this has stripped women of happiness and purpose and meaning. Now, of course, people will say, well, Steph, you only have 1 child. Hey, it was out of my hands. God said no, so to speak. But, I mean, just because I don't have more kids because I can't, doesn't mean that I can't talk about people having more kids. So this is a surefire recipe you want to be happy? Just have a bushel of kids. They are joyful, they are thrilling, they are exciting. You get to watch this amazing development, watch an entire personality and mind rise like the Titanic or Atlantis out of the ocean of unconsciousness and unbeing. So it's really not that complicated. Find yourself a good man, commit to your family, have a bunch of kids, and be happy. That's what worked for women for the past couple of million years. The idea that we can just completely rewrite that reality is ridiculous. The idea that we can be happy without these kinds of things in our lives. And again, there are people who can't, and so I understand all of that. But it's sort of like this new Soviet idea, right? Like somehow you're going to create this new Soviet man, this new communist man, doesn't respond to economic incentives or anything like that. This idea that you can create this new feminist woman whose only joy is working in a fluorescent-laced, veal-fattening pen of cubicalness. It's ridiculous. And so much happiness has been stripped away from humanity by these lies. So it's time to get busy, get fertile,